When I first started taking vitamins, I grabbed the big bottle at Costco. You know the ones, right? I wasn't super consistent, and honestly, I didn't really expect much from them. I thought I was fine. I figured if I just ate enough, I didn't need much else. But after I had kids, I started to pay more attention to how I was actually feeling. And I realized I didn't have the energy that I used to. I wasn't bouncing back. I was dragging, foggy, and relying on a lot of Excedrin and Coke. Way more than I wanted to admit. That's when I first tried doTERRA's lifelong vitality supplements. And here's the crazy part. I didn't notice a huge difference right away. But after about 30 days, I ran out and I didn't order right away. Within a few days, I felt like the underlying energy was gone. That mental clarity that I hadn't realized that I'd gained, that it was gone, it disappeared. That's when I knew something was different. Something was actually working. And then years later, I learned that I have the MTHFR gene mutation, which means my body is slow at converting B vitamins unless they're already in what's called a methylated form. That sounds all sciencey and geeky, but basically folic acid, the synthetic form of B12 that goes into most multivitamins and fortifies processed foods, is kind of like poison to me. And I needed something different. But I didn't know this because the effects of this gene mutation usually show up as we get older. Like for me, it was with small fiber neuropathy. And I'm a runner. It's my mental health, and I was kind of out of the game. I was really struggling trying to figure out what's the root cause of this problem. When I tried doTERRA's VMG+, so that's the vitamins, minerals, and the green strength, which is doTERRA's next generation version of their foundational vitamins, it was like breathing fresh air. I didn't feel not tired. I felt alive, focused, clear. And it's not just me. Over 90% of people are deficient in key nutrients like magnesium, vitamin D, iron, and B vitamins. And it's estimated that 40 to 50% of Americans actually have the same gene mutation. Plus, our soil is depleted. Our produce isn't what it used to be. In fact, studies show that we would have to eat about 8 oranges today to get the same amount of vitamin C from just 1 orange in the 1950s. Even if you're eating healthy, our bodies are often undernourished, and most store-bought supplements, they just don't cut it. They're hard to absorb, like low quality, and often flushed out of your system within an hour. And I get it. I used to kind of roll my eyes at supplements too. I didn't think that I needed them. I definitely didn't think they'd change anything because for years I was taking that bottle of Costco vitamins. But now I know better. When you give your body what it actually needs in a form that it can use, everything actually works better. That's why in this challenge we talk about this 2-minute morning routine and why so many of us are using the VMG Plus as part of our foundation. Because when our cells are nourished, your body comes back online. You feel better, you think clearer, and finally get to experience what it's like to function with a full tank again. Now, I know you Gen Zers might not understand this, but I do. Now, if you don't have the Foundational Wellness Bundle, no problem. We've listed some great alternative options in your challenge guide. It's under the Fuel Your Cells section. So all we want you to do is just pick one simple upgrade that you'll stick to with this for the next 14 days. And just stay consistent. That's where the magic happens. You do need to know that on a daily basis, your cells are getting the fuel they need. You might want to track this in an app for a week just to get an idea of what micronutrients your body is actually getting. And honestly, most of us have no clue. However, our lives are made up of a bunch of days. They're just strung together. And if you really want to be your healthiest self, you need to have most of those days filled with nutrients that fuel your cells. If you're taking the Foundational Wellness Bundle, you don't have to worry so much about tracking this because you're getting those micro and phytonutrients that your body needs. If you're not using the Wellness Bundle or Lifelong Vitality, I encourage you to track this so that you can see where the nutritional gaps are and then look for foods that you like that can fill those gaps. So if you're feeling tired, foggy, unmotivated, you're not broken. You're likely just depleted, and you can change that. In this challenge, we will walk you through those small steps that make a huge difference. This is where it all starts. And if you're curious about MTHFR or want to know how to find out if it affects you too, we've added a deeper resource on that in your challenge guide. Because once you understand how your body works, you can finally give it what it needs to thrive. In an upcoming video, we'll talk about another major game changer, healthy fats, your brain, and how omegas can transform the way that you feel and function.